Marusia, welcome to noise11.com. Good to have you here after a long, long gap between our interviews.
That's right, Paul. It has been a while. I mean, there hasn't really been a whole lot going on. So, it's been a year that a lot of us in the arts industry have had to adapt and change things about the way that we work. And it's been interesting. And I think for some people it's been great, and for other people it's been not so great. So yeah, I've kind of been in the middle, and I've been kind of lucky.
You've been such a busy live performer touring the world multiple times over the past decade. Suddenly COVID hits, but you're now a young mum with a new family. So I guess that must be one of the positive things for you, that you have got time to spend with
Absolutely,
the family.
absolutely. Yeah, it's time to spend with the family and the cat, and it's been that's been one of the greatest silver linings for me, and I think the thing that actually got me through this whole thing was the fact that I have a toddler that, she's going through her formative years at the moment. They're some of the most important years. It's when she's starting to create memories of her own, that she'll remember forever. And I was there to be part of that, rather than being on tour, which I should have been. I should have been doing 40 concerts around Australia just alone. I was also touring internationally. All of those tours have obviously been moved or even just cancelled. It's that is really heartbreaking when you hear those things about your career. But then when you see that little angel face smiling up at you saying, "Come on, mum, let's play," I think, oh, it's fine.
It's almost hard to believe that that first album that you released was 13 years ago now.
Oh my goodness. Like, where does the time go?
Well, 13 years ago. So at 20, we officially call you a veteran artist. So you're 7 years away from being a veteran.
Oh my goodness. That sounds like fun.
But that was incredible time, wasn't it? You were so young. That you were like you were in your early 20s when that record came out, and you'd
Yeah.
already been touring and seeing the world with André Rieu at that point.
Yeah, correct. So I started touring with Andre when I was 21, and it was a wild ride. I mean, I went from being this student living in Brisbane, studying at the conservatorium, graduating, going, what am I going to do with my life, to the next minute being thrown into these stadium-sized shows, and touring around the world internationally to almost every country in the world. And being on the road, living out of a suitcase, not actually even having a place to live, just living from hotel to hotel. And I loved that lifestyle. And, I still do when I go on tour. I love, packing my suitcase and off I go. And this is my life here, and off I go. And it's fun. And I'm introducing that slowly to my daughter, and she thinks it's fun too, to go on travels. And it is a fun lifestyle. It's something that not everybody gets to experience. So I definitely always made the most of it. But yeah, it's also a tiring lifestyle. I mean, if you think about it, you're living out of a suitcase. You've got limited options when it comes to your belongings, and you're constantly going from one hotel to the next. Every night you're in a different bed, and like, and you're traveling every day, 8 hours a day to the next place, performing, going to sleep, and it's just like a continuous cycle. And that does it gets tiring, and I have to say, it does get lonely. It's hard. It's a hard lifestyle, but it was great, touring with Andre around the world and having that family feeling there. And I'm still really good friends with all the people that are in the orchestra, and Andre was staying in touch. And it's just one of those parts of my life that I look back on with a big smile. I mean, momentarily it's just not possible to tour internationally and to tour with Andre. So it is one of those things that I now look back on and think, wow, we did that. We did all of that. We toured to all of those places. It was quite amazing. but now touring in Australia, I mean, I never had the chance to do such extensive regional touring, and to be able to see so many different parts of our wonderful country. I kind of feel really, really blessed and so fortunate to have this opportunity to do this right now. I shouldn't have been here. So to have this opportunity to do this and to meet audiences around Australia that that haven't had the chance to really go into the city to see the big shows, it's great and it's so fulfilling. And I've met so many interesting people so far on this tour, and it's just wonderful.
And now you've had the chance to document what you've been doing in the live in concert, the DVD. Congratulations, made it to number one, and yeah, the number one DVD in Australia is Marusia. But yeah, for people who can't get to the shows now, they can see exactly what happens in the shows. Or if you do get to the shows, you've got a souvenir to take home.
I chose my favourite melodies. I just in that time that I had to think, I thought, you know what, I'm going to record an album, and I'm going to film a DVD of all the songs that I love, but that I also know other people love to hear. And so that's exactly what we did. And we crossed so many genres as well, because there's opera, there's Dvorak, and there's Verdi on there, but there's also some Seekers songs. So we've got some folk music in there, some of my own original songs that I've written myself. And then we've also got some musical theatre and some classic melodies that people just all know and love. So it's a whole mixed bag, and it was just such a thrill to put that all together and to make it flow. And the musicians were on fire. They were so excited to be there. Like the whole thing was just so great, and we just had such a good time. And you see that and you hear it on the recording.
Variety is definitely the word for this record, and as you say, you go from everything from classical through to rock. One of the rock songs that you do on there is the Queen song "Who Wants to Live Forever," which it could be a classical. I mean, Freddie Mercury had certain components of his vocal, didn't he, that was quite operatic.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I remember the first time that I heard Queen, and I was like, what is this? This is amazing. It sounds like it sounds so cross genre. Like, what is this? It's lovely. I loved it. And definitely, what an amazing voice. So yeah, definitely. I think we tried to capture that a little bit more of a classical vibe in there. But then Michael Cristiano comes out and he shreds the electric guitar, and it's just we had so much fun putting the show together. Honestly, it was like, what's the next song going to be? And I think the audience was sitting there going, okay, well, what's she going to sing next? Like it was just from one thing to the next. And we had fun surprising the audience with that too.
That Bruce Woodley song, "I Am Australian," that fits in with what you did with the Seekers. And when you did that Seekers project, that must have been interesting shoes to fill, because basically you were getting up there in light of Judith not being able to tour at the time and taking her place. That must have been both an honour and quite a scary bit at the same time.
In a way, I mean, I think one of the things we wanted to establish was the fact that I was my own artist, so we did a double bill. It was Marusia and the original Seekers. So we really wanted to make sure that people realised I wasn't trying to replace Judith, and I definitely wasn't trying to be her, because Judith for me, excuse me, Judith is an icon, and she's absolutely one of the people that I admire most. I mean, I've met her and we've sat together, and when I recorded A Salute to the Seekers, the album, I delivered it to her personally, and she'd listened to it already, and she gave me her comments. And through that whole process of recording it, the 4 Seekers were there giving me their input. So when we went on tour with Marusia and the original Seekers, one of the things we really wanted to establish was the fact that I wasn't there to replace anyone. I was just there to sing the songs that the Seekers had made famous and that had inspired me as a young girl in Brisbane to become the person that I am today and the artist that I am today. So, yeah, I mean, I think that the audience all got that, because at the end they all were like, that was so nice, that Marusia did that, and that she sang the songs very differently. I don't sing like Judith because I'm not Judith, and I never could be. She's got the most iconic voice, and her voice suits those songs. If you listen to the Seekers and any song that Judith sings, you just know immediately after 3 seconds, oh, that's Judith Durham. So I'm not trying to copy. I'm not doing, that's definitely not the point. The point is that I'm saluting the Seekers and showing them my respect as a young Australian who grew up listening to their music, that I actually was so inspired by what they did that I became the singer I am today. But to tour with the boys and to stand on stage and to sing songs like Georgie Girl and The Carnival Is Over, wow, what a dream. And that's what I told the audience. I told them the whole story about, I used to listen to these people when I was a young girl, and I used to listen to them and learn. And now here we are. And Judith egging me on in the background, and her sister Beverly came to the concert in Melbourne, and we had just such a wonderful time together. And Ken Ray as well, who was one of the original from the Seekers. So he was there before Judith stepped in to replace Ken, and then they had the big explosion. He was in the audience too. And I think the comment that I got from everyone was just the fact that you've done it so great because you did it differently and you did it your way, as your respect to Judith and the boys. And that was, that's exactly why. And it was a real honor. And it was an honor to be welcomed on stage by Athol and Bruce and Keith, and of course Judith at home, as a new member of the Seekers family. And that's a really true honor for me. I feel so honored that I'm that person, and that they stand behind what I do. And this tour that I'm on at the moment, a salute to the Seekers and the classics, that they really stand behind it and support it. And it's so lovely. I often get messages from them, and it's just like, how are you going? Where are you this weekend? And things like that. And it's just, it's really sweet.
There's not only variety in the set list, also variety in the careers. You did the musical theatre, when was that, 2019? Mima, a musical War and Friendship?
Yes, correct. This was a completely different thing altogether, because it was a new musical as well. So I was approached by Ron Zimignosky, who was the composer and the producer of this show. And he wrote the music to suit my voice. So we sat down at a piano in the really early stages of his sketches of melodies, and we chose keys together. He had a librettist called Giles Watson, who actually put together all of the lyrics and the script and everything. And we sat together and pieced it all together. So it was really, we workshopped this musical for, it must have been almost a year that we workshopped it before it actually went on stage. And it was really interesting. I played the part of an Italian partisan during the Second World War who had to flee Italy to London. And she then meets a jazz singer in a bar, and they form a friendship. And then Mima is actually transported out of England. She's rounded up and transported away, and she ends up in Australia in the end. And it's based on a true story. So I actually went to Torino in Italy, and I did some research there. I filmed a documentary, and we really worked on that the history would be legitimate. And it was super interesting to do that. So to play the character of Mima in the end, I felt really natural to do it because I'd been there, I'd researched it all, I was part of the script writing, I was part of the process, everything from the start to the end, like I was part of it. And so it went up and above and beyond what people usually do when they're given a script and music. It's like, okay, that's the script and the music. I actually was there writing it and helping out and researching it. So it was very different. We had so much fun doing this musical, although the topic of war can be, not so pleasing. We made it really work, and it was very, very interesting to be part of. I would love to be able to do this show again, and we had plans for it, but COVID. So, hopefully in future we'll be able to pick that story up again. But, you never know what happens in life. As I said, everything happens for a reason. but it was definitely a lot of fun to do and very different. I mean, it was hard work. And it was very different to not be able to be myself and not to be able to just, I'm very much about ad-libbing on stage. I just chat to people in the audience and we have a good time. It's kind of like hanging out in the living room, I guess. Very different to playing this Italian partisan who speak with an accent. It's very different.
Well, the new album / DVD, the #1 DVD in the country.
And the #1 classical crossover album too. I feel so honoured that so many people are just loving the music and that they're buying it and they're purchasing it, pre-ordering it. I mean, I just can't believe that. So it's what I said before. I look back on my life, and especially this COVID time where we've sort of sat at home and reflected a lot. And I think of that little girl that used to just sing along with the tape deck recorder, and now here I am on stages, and I really count my blessings every day, and it is truly an honour to have those #1s, especially when it comes to classical crossover music. That is, it's a particular style of music. It's not something that you'll hear on the mainstream radio stations. So yeah, I feel really honoured.
Marusia, thank you for joining us at Noise 11.
Thank you so much, Paul.